Okay. Well, welcome back to another episode of Her Circle. I'm nice and full from lunch.
From not Chick-fil-A today?
No, from not Chick-fil-A. That's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it was
But we had Cane's.
It was Cane's. It was good.
I had lots of the sauce.
Yeah.
I like their sauce.
Heston got apparently we can buy a cup of the sauce for just $4.
So he was like, why not? So they're like, you could have swam in it.
Made a good call, though. You can never have too much sauce. Yeah. I'm a sauce gal.
I like sauces.
Yeah.
I'm not too mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went for more, so obviously it was needed. But
for sure. We got extra bread. So good. It was good. He did a good job. He knows the business.
Like 6, I did say, as long as you give me bread and fries, I'm good. And he showed up with like 6 extra slices. Not loaves.
They are pretty big, though.
They are big, those Texas toast size.
It was good.
And then he even got me a Coke Zero. Ready to go.
Yeah, he's good at getting all the things.
All the things. Made sure that we didn't starve.
Yeah.
But now I'm nice and full and ready to go.
It's a little toasty in here. We're going to get 2 more episodes in. I'm getting a little cozy. I might start yawning again. Yesterday on the last episode that we were recording, Chandler's like, got to get this done. Ashley's yawned twice. She's fading fast.
Yawn again. I was like, oh no, she's fading quick. We got to wrap this one up.
Because it had been just a little bit of a early, I don't know. It was
yesterday
okay.
was I'm just so glad I was here.
I'm glad you were here.
Because I made a dumb mistake and made my flight at the wrong time. So I was supposed to fly in yesterday, early morning. And Friday morning, I went to check into my flight and it wouldn't let me. And I'm like, I'm so confused. Well, I accidentally made it for PM on Saturday. And I was like, that's not going to work.
So even though it was your original just mishap, I wouldn't even say mistake, you sent it to me. I didn't see anything wrong with the time.
I even sent it to Ryan and was like, I can do this, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure he just probably focused on the dates more than the time for him.
Yeah.
But
she went through multiple adult people who can read. And we all missed the little AM, PM was wrong.
And booked it. And apparently American, I have my beef with you guys. Not that you care.
No help at all.
But no help at all. They never are. They suck. They will do whatever to, penny pinch, take money. But the one time I offered to pay the difference, apparently buy an economy ticket, you can't switch a flight no matter if you pay. And I was like,
that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. So they're stupid. And I'm bitter about it, but whatever.
But she went to the airport.
Yeah. I actually went to the airport Friday night in hopes that I could get on that night one.
Oh, you were there already?
Well, I went by before I went to stay at Paul and Ashley. One of our friends live close by, and they're always so sweet and let us stay at their house before we leave to the airport. And so I was already going that way. I was like, well, I'll swing by because I read online it said within 24 hours of your flight.
Okay.
So I was like, technically that flight's 24 hours. Like, maybe I can get on standby? And she's like, well, no, it has to be same of. I was like, you guys really need to reword that because 24 hours and same day are not the same.
They're not the same thing.
But whatever. She was super nice. And she's like, well, I can call and see. And I was like, well, I called and talked to them and they were no help and they weren't willing to budge or do anything. I was like, I even offered to pay to switch my flight and they wouldn't, which I'm like, really? You're not going to take my money? You guys will do anything to make money.
Bless you.
And so she's like, well, I'll call and we'll see. And so I was hopeful that maybe since somebody from the airline
physically at the airport
called, they would be willing to do something. So then she even tried to get me for sure on there was some openings on a 10 o'clock one. And they were like, yeah, no. So she hung up and she's like, yeah, they're not going to. And I was like, okay.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, well, can you put me on the standbys for tomorrow? So it ended up being a blessing that they didn't do the 10 o'clock one. But at the time, I was like, that would have been a for sure thing. So it kind of made me a little bit
either way
happy with it. But she was like, no, so you can go on standby on the super early one. And then if you don't make it, they'll bump you to the next one and kind of just go on. I was like, well, I have all day tomorrow apparently to get on. So hopefully I get on an earlier one. And she was like, well, this is probably your best luck to get on, like in the sense of like it's nicer to get on the first one because it's so early that people might miss it or decide to move their flights or whatever. And so I was like, okay. And so at that point I was like number 3. And so I was like, okay, that's not bad. The flight was full. So I was like, maybe there'll be enough people who were like, obviously I don't want like anyone to like have to miss their flight or anything bad.
But it wouldn't
I'm
be the worst thing for your benefit.
They switched or did something else, you know? So, but I woke up super early. I was like, I will be there. So I woke up, got there in way more time than I could. I probably could have slept in a little bit more, but, and by the time I got to the airport, I was down to like 6 on the list. I was like, dang it. So I was like, there's no way. And so when they started boarding, there seemed like a lot of people. And I was like, there's no way. Well, I don't know if anyone's done standby, but when you do standby, they don't play. They call your name, and it's like if you don't answer, they move on.
That's wild.
So it's like they're like Ryan, Heston, Ashley. Like if you don't pop up, they go through the list.
Wow.
And so they said my name, and I was like I got up real quick, but in my head I still was like, wait, did they really call my name? So I walked up, and she gave me a ticket pretty quick, showed her my ID, and they had to check my bag, which at that point I was like, whatever, just long get me on the plane. But then I got to my seat, literally the whole bin above me was open. And I passed like multiple bins that had like one or two.
Annoying,
and I was like, seriously? But again, I was like, okay, I can't be like this. I'm on this plane. So I'm like thankful. But I was like, seriously? Like there's multiple people. They met check bags. Even people who already had tickets, like for sure tickets, they had to check bags. And I was like, why did you make them check bags when there was plenty of space for these people? I'm like, and that always makes me mad. Because I'm like, you guys paid for a ticket. And they obviously didn't want to check it. So it's always just like weird to me how they're like that. But
how they pick and choose.
I was like, whatever. So I was like, I'm just glad I'm on the plane. And I didn't text you guys till I was in my seat because I was scared that I would be walking down the runway and they'd be like, just kidding.
Never mind.
You know, and I'd be like brokenhearted.
I didn't even want to look at my phone that morning because I didn't want to get the news like, oh, I didn't make it on this first flight. So I didn't even look at my phone till after 8 o'clock and saw your text at 6. I said that you had made it on the flight and you were on your way and you were going to land around 9. So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it really did. It was literally exactly what needed to happen. It was nice. But then I was like, okay, there's one leaving at like 8. Like there was like, for morning ones, there was like one every hour and a half. So I had like 3 right there. Then I'm like, okay, if I can get in, we still have good time for the night. We might not get as much because I knew we were going to dinner. But I was like, I don't want to do them all. So like that would just be a long day.
It would be a lot. It would be.
So I was like,
we could make it work.
I mean, we could have figured it out, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. And so, and I selfishly wanted to be able to go have dinner with y'all for Heston's birthday. So that was another reason. I was like, well, that would be kind of fun to be able to do something like that because I don't get to experience those things with y'all, like birthdays and things like that, because I'm never here on the day to where I don't get to celebrate things with y'all. So I was like, I really want to be there, like selfishly, like even if it's just nice, simple dinner with everybody. But I was like, it's fun to be like a part of those things.
Totally.
So it was like, I told Ryan, I was like, dang it, like this just sucks. And so he's like, just go early. And so I did it. I texted him. I was like, I did text him. I said, I think I texted him, I'm not going to get on this flight. I was like, it's busy. And then I texted him, I was like, I freaking got on. He was like, I'm so glad. I was like, I'm glad I got on this first one. So then I didn't have to do the whole like, maybe this one, maybe this one, like all day.
Yeah, that would have been
because I would have hung out there all day because I didn't leave till like 9 o'clock. It was something stupid.
It was really late.
So, and then it worked out. So I'm glad. So we were able to get all those in.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
have dinner.
Worked
out great.
Yeah, it was nice. Went to your parents' house for a little bit. And then you picked us up there. And then, we went to
dinner.
Mexican food. It was
really good.
Yummy. It was good. It was a good time. Got to meet all the peeps that I hear about that I don't.
All of our amazing friends.
Yeah, that I don't like, obviously. Well, I knew some, but most of them I haven't.
Yeah.
I've just heard about. Or like
you've met all of them except for Trevor and Alyssa.
Yeah, but but well, I don't actually know if I've met Cam. I feel like I haven't.
I don't think you have
officially met him till last night. But also too is one of those things like you hear and see and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's true. But like most of like the interactions have been like, hi-bye or
Yeah,
just like
just-
passing or
Yeah.
this was the first time like we actually were like all kind of in a room
Sat and
for
visited.
or me was with everybody in a room for like more than like 5 seconds. Where we were like not doing something else or because I know baseball game I saw Brooklyn but she was on the other side with it. So I didn't really get to like interact with her. I mean, obviously last night interacting was not as like easy either, but I still got to like hear and be like more a part of like things. But I'm that person that's like I don't even care. I can just sit here and just watch.
Yeah,
I just
you're good.
Just like put me here. I'll just be there and
Chandler just sat on the end by herself.
Just
basically.
laughed and listened to like all the conversations and just hung out.
Yeah, it was fun. For me. This morning we were like driving out to the studio and I was just, like after you spend time with a lot of people and you're like, okay, I felt like the conversation was good.
Yeah.
And then you like dissect things that you said and you're like, I hope they didn't think that I tell my kids to shut up or, because I had made a comment. My son did like a part of a, I don't know, like media something with one of our friends. And I just asked him, I said, oh, how do you feel like he did? Do you feel like he was nervous?
Yeah.
Like something about him not talking a lot. And he goes, no, he did great. And I said, oh, good, because I was worried he was going to get in front of the camera and not be able to talk because that kid won't shut up when he's with me, like just jokingly and stuff. And then later I'm like, hopefully they know, like I really do enjoy my kids talking to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hit a limit where I just need like a second.
But you would think out of everybody, like the people with kids it would be like someone like me who didn't have kids. Yeah. That would be more, which I not, but would be more like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand. But the ones who have kids are probably like, oh yeah, no,
I hope so. And if you guys are listening, I do enjoy my kids talking. They are chatterers though. But sometimes
I'm sure everybody gets to the point, which is with anybody. You can be like, okay, like I gotta like take a step back, like as a human.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like people and bodies like needing your attention as a mother. Like it's very normal to be like, all right, bro, like I need like give me 5 seconds, like step away, like silent, please.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully.
I'm not even a mom. So
I saw this term. Like it was like
there's no way.
It was like conversation hangover, where after you like you feel like the conversation was great, and then the next day you're like,
but was it?
What was I saying?
Yeah.
Why did I
do that all the time?
Okay.
Like most of my interactions. Well, I say that.
Okay.
Not with like me. You, like maybe people I don't know. Last night I really didn't, but I also really, not that I didn't speak, but I didn't like really, I feel like I said like too much or I just like chimed in on certain things.
Yeah.
But I usually like that kind of situation would have been a one that if I said something, I would have stepped back and been like, okay, wait, what did I say?
How dumb did I sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's more of like my intensity, you know? Sometimes I'm like, whoa.
I felt like I kept like catching the eye of one of our friends and he was just like staring at me. And I'm like, hopefully I don't sound like an idiot, but whatever.
Like it just, I don't know. I think it's almost refreshing though sometimes to have just like normal, like without feeling like you have to be like, because I'm like, nobody is. Like, let's be real. And if you think you are, you're not.
Right.
Like,
you're
don't
not.
lie.
Exactly.
I don't believe you. You're not fooling me. I do that all the time though. There's times where I'm like, dang it. I'm like, but I'm like, whatever.
So apparently the term is conversation hangover.
I've never heard of that.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, I have that often where I'm like, I probably could have.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, you know, and then at half time I'm like, these people know who I am, whatever.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, I mean, they can't be shocked.
Yeah, you can't be that surprised.
I mean, like, we just got we were talking about the vampires again. I was like, well, you can't be shocked that you did that because we all know how you are. Well, I guess not everybody does, but then if they know, then who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't know, then you don't matter.
Yeah.
Just kidding, I don't mean that. Sorry.
I just feel like I can't get comfortable. Are you comfortable over there?
I'm fine, struggling. But you know, I'm old and these little hips bent like this sometimes. Yeah. That's why I said we need like get a recliner one so we can like lay like this and just like tilt the microphone up.
Yeah, that'd be
Wouldn't
nice.
get good angles, but I'd be comfy.
Yeah.
Or like maybe next time we could try like a couch.
Yeah.
Where we could like
these chairs are fine. It's
swing
just
our leg up.
It's just I don't know. I'm fine. I'm
good.
You
feeling stuck?
I'm feeling stuck. Are you feeling stuck?
Just kidding. You know how what is it called when you try to
segue
in? So today we actually are talking about that. I kind of wanted to talk about this. Ashley did say that she had some things she thought that she could like weigh in on, but so Sorry if I do a lot of the talking. But this was something that I felt like has been like heavy on my heart lately in like the season of life I'm in. And it's a new feeling for me. So I'm not used to it. And it's really been hard for me to like navigate and know what to do. So I thought maybe somebody else could relate to this and maybe feel like, okay, like you're not alone, or maybe we could give some helpful tips or just how we handle things or how we found works for us, or things that you could help. Well, I guess me, because you said you haven't been, but with or little ideas and stuff just helps to know that like people aren't alone and just like different ideas and different ways to navigate things. So I feel like I've definitely been in a season of feeling like stuck, almost, I don't know. I don't want to say like that I don't like not purpose, but just not knowing what I'm doing or how to navigate that, kind of feel like I'm in a rut, like I'm not doing enough. And so I feel like it's probably has been since I got out of the medical field. I feel like that's kind of been transitioning. But I feel like it's been probably really bad over the last like 6 months. Because weirdly, I've been out of the medical field like almost 2 years, which is really weird to think that it's already been that long. But I feel like over the past like 6 months to a year, give or take, it's been like really like wow. And I do think a lot of it has to do with just like me transitioning out of stuff that I was so used to doing for so long, and like had a routine, was busy, was doing these things. Like I didn't like think about what I was doing or having to worry. But with transitioning to something new and something I don't know what I'm doing, well, yeah, still learning and all that stuff. And then I went through a phase of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I was willing to like, was it worth doing the boutique, all these things. And so I feel like just the kind of like the unknown and still learning and growing. And obviously like it's just starting off. My boutique's like, I'm not just like busy with it like constantly. Like it's not just like taking up all my time. So I feel like I've been in that rut of like, okay, like I'm not doing enough. Like I need to do more. I mean, I'm used to having full-time job, sometimes multiple after that. And then even after the medical field, when I did that, I had multiple things I was doing because I wanted to like keep busy and do, and obviously like income wise. And so when Ryan like suggested just doing the boutique full time, I was like, that's great. And for the first little bit there, it was good because I was like so overwhelmed with not knowing what I was doing and trying to like figure it out, getting the website going, getting all my like inventory started, getting the, website pictures, all those things, and trying to learn what I'm doing. And then pretty soon after, I did open the little like shop. And so that kind of kept me busy. But now that like I kind of feel like I have a groove of it, I feel like I'm not as busy now. And I'm like, I feel like I'm not
flowing
doing
on its
enough.
own more.
Yeah. And so it drives me crazy. And so I feel like I'm trying to get out of it. I think I'm still kind of in that funk of getting out of that feeling. And so when I get like that, it's like a vicious cycle, I feel like, of then it's like, then my motivation for like everything else like is just like dead. So then it like seeps into just like my everyday stuff around the house, like trying to keep my body moving and working out and making sure like I'm taking care of those things, like getting outside and like, or wanting to run errands. Like it just seeps into everything to where it's like, then I just have like no motivation. But then I'm like, how do you not have, it's just like a stupid cycle. And then you get in your head and you're like, why not? You have time, just go do it. But then I feel like I'm like, oh, I just don't, like, I don't want to. Like I get in that cycle and I hate that.
Yeah.
And I'm not used to this. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I want to like speak specifically on like a certain moment that I had like recently, and it kind of like really hit me, and it was kind of like a sweet little to me, kind of like a sweet little like smile from the Lord. I was like on the couch, like in the morning, just like before kind of like really like getting my day started. And I was like, I need to like work out and go out to the garage and do something. I was like, I need to like get out of this funk. And I know when I do these things and work out and do those movements, it makes me feel so good. Like when I'm in the Word, when I'm doing these things, I know that in my head, that the benefits of it and how good it makes me feel. But for some reason, it's hard to like convince yourself to do it, even though you know it, which is so stupid. Because then every time after you do it, you're like, this was amazing. And so I got into like a routine before where I was doing that and doing really well until I got like in the slump. And so I finally was like, just freaking do it. Like, go do it. Like, it doesn't even have to be anything crazy. Like today, just do something. Like stretch. Like, I don't care. And so I went out to the garage, got dressed and went out to the garage, and I was playing some worship music, which I usually like to do sometimes when I work out. Sometimes I just listen to like my normal playlist, but sometimes I'm like, obviously that day I needed some little pump up jams to like, get me like motivated and just kind of have that time too, because I feel like you can use any moment to like spend time with the Lord. Obviously he knew what was on my heart, and I was obviously struggling with some things, and so I have a dialogue in my head with him where like I just kind of speak to him throughout my day. And so while I was working out and like trying to get myself working out, obviously those were my thoughts, and I was having that, and this song came on that I never heard before, on just like shuffled on like a Christian channel, Spotify or whatever, or Apple. And I'm going to read some of the lyrics just because I want to share them. If you've heard the song, you'll know. If not, I think anybody could benefit from the song. I think it's really good, beautiful, like she sings it very well, but it's called The Truth, and it's by Megan Woods. And I actually think I shared it with you that day.
Yeah. And
so it's just a really good song, and there's just like verses in it, and it's just pretty much talking about like who you are, like the truth of who you are. And so some of the words in it, or just say some of the verses in it, that says, let's see. It says, the truth is I'm my Father's child. I make him proud and I make him smile. I was made in the image of a perfect king. He looks at me and he wouldn't change a thing. The truth is I'm truly loved by a God who's good when I'm not good enough. I don't belong to the lies. I belong to you, and that's the truth. And then it kind of talks about like when I feel like there's so much noise living rent-free in my head, heaven finds me in a still small voice, and it sounds like grace instead. You remind me who I am when I look in the mirror and I'm not so sure. Lord, I don't want to listen to the lies anymore. And then it kind of goes back into the chorus. And I just was like, got like really like emotional in that moment working out, because again, it was like in that part where it says like heaven finds me in a still small voice. I feel like he met me there in that moment, and kind of just gave me those just those words, just to remind myself of like, even if you're in those moments of like stuck, or you don't have a purpose, or you're not doing enough, those aren't true. Those are lies. I think that's the enemy kind of speaking into it to where you stay in that rut, like, because he wants me there. He doesn't want me out of it. So I have to remind myself that those aren't the truth, that even if I'm in a slower season, or if I feel like I'm not doing enough, someone commented on one of our posts on TikTok. TikTok's back, guys.
Yes, it's back.
About I can't remember which one it was that I posted on the Sunday stuff that I was posting. And I think it was the one about purpose. I'm actually going to pull it up because I want to know, I want to like read her words right. I don't want to like change them up. But I believe it was the one I posted that said, let's see. Sorry. Maybe my stuff isn't loading.
Uh-oh. Do you want me to see on mine?
Yeah, it might not be loading.
Which that song is.
And that's the song I put on it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs now. I love playing it for my kids.
So I think my comments on it aren't loading, but I think it was the post that I put. I said, right this very moment, you may May you be reminded of how much purpose you have because God did not make a mistake in creating you.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was the one I did. And someone commented, and if you can pull it up, I'll let you read it after, but I'm going to like phrase what I roughly. She was saying that was hard for her. That was a good reminder. It's hard for her.
You
have it? Yeah.
She said trying to figure out that purpose because I really don't know.
Yeah. And so that comment to me, like being in that season of stuff and feeling like you're not doing enough, I have to be reminded, and I think it's a good reminder in that it's like even if those little moments or seasons that you may feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm not doing enough or I'm stuck or what am I even doing?
Mm-hmm.
Am I even being useful?
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, you're putting God on a very low stand. Like he can use you anytime, anywhere for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he wants something to happen, he will make it happen.
Absolutely.
So if you feel like you're not doing enough for that, like he has the ability and the power to use you no matter what season,
mm-hmm.
even if you don't feel worthy. And usually he uses the people who are unlikely.
Right.
So I feel like I was a good reminder in that moment, and I still have to remind myself that because I still am struggling with that feeling of that I'm not doing enough. And putting a different standard on maybe enough of like, because it is hard for me not to bring in financially like I was.
Yeah.
Because that was something that I always could do, and I appreciated that I could do. And so now that I'm not, it's weirdly been very hard for me, and I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of caught me off guard. But I also have to make in my head, like how we talked about success, like there's different versions of what I'm doing. And I have to believe that even in like this slow moment and I'm not bringing in all this like financial stuff, that he can still use me for different reasons.
Yeah.
For people that I might not even understand or realize. And sometimes I might never see those, those results or whatever that I'm doing, but I have to trust that he still can. And there is a purpose for like every season. And this could even just be like a season for me to grow for something else. So I have to really remind myself that, because it's really hard because I'm not used to it. And so then I get stuck in that cycle. Then it's like my motivation leaves and I feel like I don't need to do anything, or why does it matter? And it kind of becomes like a cycle.
Yeah.
And I have to like get out of that. And so when that song came in, I listen to it like a lot now.
Yeah, me too.
And I just think it's such a beautiful reminder of like, you are so more than like your job or you're being a wife or a sister or a daughter or all these things. And those are beautiful things that the Lord blesses you to be able to do. And I don't want to take away from that, but you're not just those one thing.
Yeah.
To where you're put so much like that determines everything. Like, oh, if this business is not successful, because it might not be. And I have to be okay with that. But I have to be in the moment and very thankful that the Lord's blessing me to try it. And that's what I have to remind myself. And that if it's not, that he will change me or get me where I need to be, and that he can do that. And so I just think also too, as women, and I want to bring up the lyrics in that too, because of like, one of my biggest things that does make me feel good and fill up my cup is like movement and exercise. I think there's so much power to it. But one thing I've heard recently that I really like is even in those moments, you can invite the Lord into those. Yeah. And just be thankful to be able to like move your body and your heart being in a good place of like why we're doing those things for ourselves. And so just those things like to me make me feel good and move good. I got to where, and I've stopped doing this over the last couple of months, and I'm like, I need to do it again. I would, and I loved, and now I'm like, why did I stop doing it? I would literally, after I'd work out or go on a walk or do something, I would come back inside and I have like my Beat headphones, and I literally would just pace around the house.
So nice.
With my headphones in, blasting
just
worship
listening.
music. And it feels so good because I can scream singing. I don't hear myself to where it makes me feel like, oh my God, because I know I can't sing.
Right.
Nobody else can hear me. I'm in my house.
Yeah.
And like, it is just so fun. And it's so like, and it's so powerful. I would just pick some good songs and do that. And so it's like just simple things like that that really make me like shift my perspective of things. Being like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. Like, I can do these things. I can move my body. I can try to run a business. Like, I have to get my mindset out of like, you're right. You're slow. You're not doing as much, but it's like I have to get myself out of that funk of that, like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not making a difference, or I'm not doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And really just like find the joy in those things and decide to, if I have that extra time, I just have been praying about, okay, what do I need to do with that extra time? Like, do you want me volunteering somewhere? Like, I have my time to give. That's a blessing that some people don't have. Like, do I need to go volunteer somewhere like specific? Like something, do I need to, is there a certain time during the day that does someone need me to help them with anything? Like, so that's another thing that I feel like I need to really start leaning into, because my time is a blessing that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
So I'm like, take it for what, like, take it while you can. So I have to like switch my mindset into being like, okay, well then do something with it. Cause it really has kind of like sucked me in to where it's like my motivation just like has left. And I'm like not used to that, because I wasn't like that. And I wasn't used to that. And I guess I really felt like I put my purpose in like doing enough into like my job or being busy like that. And so I feel like I'm literally, as I'm saying this, thinking this in my head, that maybe that's just a way that the Lord's trying to teach me into like my purpose needs to be in Him and what He wants from me and where He wants me, instead of like my purpose in like, oh, my job or bringing in money or like all these things. Like, that's not my purpose. And why I'm here. I don't think that's really why anybody's necessarily here for like, oh, well, how much money can you bring in? How hard you work. You're not saying you shouldn't work hard, but I just feel like my purpose I need to shift my gear and really ask Him like what my purpose is in this time that I have.
Yeah, it sounds like to me what you're talking about is what has your identity been rooted in initially?
It needs to be rooted in Him.
Right. So it sounds like this is a time where God is allowing you that time and that patience and peace to shift your identity to center it around Him.
Yeah. Like fully do that.
Yeah, your identity before, which it's a huge part of who you were. You are a badass woman. You work so hard. What you've done to contribute to your and Ryan's success where you are now, he couldn't have done that without you in the slightest. So a lot of your identity came from what you brought to the table financially.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But now you're reaping the benefits of the work you've already put in. Now you're reaping the benefits of, I do get to have more time. I do get to take things a little bit slower. I have this opportunity to learn. So your mind is shifting.
Yeah.
Heavenly Father is shifting everything for you, and He's reminding you your true identity.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing to have your identity rooted in what you've done, because it is successful and it is important and it was extremely necessary.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, Chandler, you are a daughter of mine.
Yeah.
You belong to me.
Yeah.
I am the truth. Don't listen to the lies. Everything that song says.
Yeah. It's so good. Like, I think everybody should listen to it. It's beautifully done. And it is true. Like you said, like you are of the perfect King, like you are His, and He created you. And I think that alone is the most powerful thing and the most powerful like identity and characteristic of everybody as a human. Like, it just blows my mind. And so when you just like really like hone in on that, it's like, holy crap. Like, you have the ability to like reach that and do that through Christ. Like, it's just so... I think it's such a powerful song, and it's exactly what I needed to hear. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't been perfect since then, like but it really, I try to remember that in the moments, because it's so true. And I think realizing, like you said, I never really kind of thought about that, of like shifting until like we're talking about it now. Like shifting my mindset to really like take in the time of being like, okay, you did these things, but now I need you to like... And it's funny because this is another thing of like praying over a long time of like really wanting to like build my relationship and get closer and do the work. And I have been doing that, but then it's like He gives me, it's almost like He's like, here, you wanted this, do it. Like take every time that you have free now, because I want it. I want that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like he's giving me that moment to be like, okay, now come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what you need to do, not feel like you have to have this job or it needs to be this big, or even my boutique. Like, I don't want you to have to rely on it to be this huge, big thing. If that's not what I have, like, you have to rely on me. And so I think that's cool to kind of think about it like that and realize that, like, okay, maybe this is like a blessing that he's giving me to be like, okay, now use your time and come to me.
Yeah.
And
because
really
once
grow.
that's your true identity, what else can stand in your way?
And
like,
nothing else
how
really matters.
Nothing else matters.
And it wouldn't affect, something like this wouldn't have affected me in the sense of like, I would know, like, no matter what season I'm in. I'm not saying we don't have highs and lows as like Christians and having a relationship. I think that comes with it, because I think, you know, worldly, and there's people that they want to attack that. That's not what people want. So I do think you're going to, obviously, it's not like an easy life the minute. It's not like, oh, that's it. Now life is a piece of cake. But still being rooted in that, to know that you can get through those seasons and you really know the true, like, purpose. So I definitely think that it's a daily thing I have to, like, work on and remind myself. But I feel like as you grow and as you do that, that stuff just kind of, like, lifts off you.
That's just the natural course of shifting into your true identity and your true power, all that other stuff. You can see it for what it is, the lies.
Like, there's this meme, and it's so true. It's so simple. It's like, I want to be so confident in Christ and so rooted in Christ that when something bad happens, I don't even blink.
Yeah.
Like, because it doesn't faze you. And I would love to say that that's how I am, like, to where, and I feel like overall I've gotten better. I think it's a slow process. And I think, again, I can take this time to do that. And I think over the past, like, year to two, that, you know, just getting in his word, taking the time to just scream and worship, working out and using those moments to be with him, even if it's like taking a walk or a hike or working out or having alone time. I know it's harder if you have, like, other people around you. So obviously, like, situations are different, but really taking that time, I definitely think that those are all good things to, like, help
absolutely
grow that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, like, then if something happens, you're not like, oh my gosh, you're like, he's got this. Like, I want to be, and it's so simple,
solid.
but so true. I want to be so rooted in him and so like faith in that, and know that's like, okay, like, this isn't ideal. This sucks, but, like, we got this.
You just want that unwavering steadfastness.
To just be, like, okay with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And just being like, all right, well, bring it on. I'll figure it out. So I feel like it's definitely something I've been growing in and getting better at, but it's definitely a work of progress. And I obviously think this season that I'm in has kind of, like, really challenged. It's been a challenge. It's challenging me for sure. And I think in a good way. And I think I don't think it will be worth it. Like, I know that, but it's definitely new to me. So it was definitely a hard season that I'm definitely in. And thought it would be worth sharing, because I'm sure somebody's been in some kind of position of, like, feeling just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I definitely appreciate you sharing all of that, because it is hard not to get stuck in your faith a lot of the times, and to not listen to all the noise that's going on.
Yeah.
And I have always had this thought, I don't know if I heard it from someone or if it's an original thought that I had myself, but the people, like, the adversary, he knows you. He was with you in the pre-existence. If you believe in, like, a spirit world before us coming down here together, he knows your weaknesses, and the spirits that didn't make in the Mormon church, you know, you believe that there's spirits who aren't able to come down to earth.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you believe or what everyone else believes, but I think that there are spirits who knew us in the pre-existence, and they know what to say to you.
Yeah.
And I also have had this thought with you, when you have the thoughts like, you aren't good enough.
Yeah.
You are this, you are that. Those you thoughts, that's not coming from you.
Yeah.
That's coming from something else.
Yeah.
That's something else that knows you. They know your spirit. They know exactly what to say to undermine the power that you have.
Yeah.
So the I thoughts, like, I am kind, I am strong, I am powerful, I can do this.
Yeah.
Those come from you, and that comes from your true spirit. Those you thoughts, that's not you.
Yeah.
You're not thinking that.
Yeah.
Something else is putting that into your brain.
Yeah.
So I think when I heard that like really helped me shift into like the I statements. Those are me. Yeah. Because those are good and those are positive. Yeah. Those you statements, those are the ones that you have to catch yourself and go, that's not me. Yeah. That's something else, and I will not be undermined by whatever that is. Yeah. Whatever energy or, all of those things, because you do second guess yourself. You question. That's just human nature. Yeah. To question what you're doing. Is it good enough? Am I on the right track? Is this the way I'm supposed to be going? Yeah. And so I really appreciate you sharing all of that vulnerability and those emotions, because it is powerful and it is real. Yeah. I mean, people, I think, daily deal with, like you said, the lies coming in and just knowing that, like, that all that negativity and all that stuff, that's not truth from the Lord. That's not what he spoke over you. That's not what he speaks of you. That's not what he said. Those aren't true. And so it's like having to be able to filter those out and being like, okay, that's a lie. Yeah. That's a lie. I think starting with I pay attention to that with the you and the I thoughts. Yeah. And see if you can, because once I heard that, it was really easy for me to differentiate between truth and goodness and like wrong. Yeah. And not correct, So I think for me, and I was telling Chandler, like, I haven't experienced like a very slow season in my life yet. I've just always been kind of going and having kids and then have the kid and then doing life. So I experienced maybe feeling stuck in my progression as far as like whether it's physical, mental, spiritual. So I was telling Chandler this experience that we had. When did we do it? Was it December? No, it was November. I think it was like the weekend after I was here. Yeah, so that's right. It had to have been. So Chandler, you came. The weekend after Thanksgiving, so maybe the weekend after that? Or was it Thanksgiving weekend? I don't know. I'd have to ask. But it was like pretty shortly after you came. And so me and my family, we all did a Spartan race. And I haven't competed or done anything physical like that, like where I'm actually out doing something and people are watching me. So I was feeling very intimidated to go and participate in this. But my kids were doing this race and I wanted to show them, like, I can do it too. I'm going to do it with Dad, because Heston he's done a Spartan race before. So he knew what to expect. Yeah. And I had been like, I always exercise. So I was just kind of hopeful, like, okay, I hope what I'm doing is going to be helpful on this race. And so we get to the race. It's in Avondale, like the Speedway. Oh, okay. So they set everything up there. So we get there, and I'm really nervous to do this. I don't want to feel embarrassed. I don't want to fail. And my kids were like, "Are you going to do this obstacle? Are you going to do that obstacle?" So for the Spartan race, we did the 5K, which is just over like a 3-mile raceway or path. And then we had 21 obstacles to do. Yeah. And if you don't finish the obstacle, you have to take like a penalty lap, or you have to do 30 burpees. You can choose what you want to do. Okay. And so we start the race. So my kids did theirs and they did amazing. It was so fun to watch them. Little Liv she worked so hard and she did great. And little Heston did awesome. And his path ended up being like double what we thought. And so he was tired, but he finished. Yeah. So it was like a really cool feeling that both my kids had to work on something, because we had kind of been training as a family. Like we had been jogging, we had been lifting weights and doing burpees just to kind of prep for this. And so the kids finished their race and Heston and I go down for ours. So the first thing to even start, you have to jump over this wall. And I'm not very tall. I'm like 5'3", like exactly. And this wall was like right to my chin, I think. Yeah. And Heston's 6 foot, almost 3. So he just, basically steps over it. So I have to like jump and get in. And that's like how you buy into the race. And so I did it and I'm like, okay, that was kind of scary, but I did it. And so we start the race, and it's like almost a mile jog, but it's like up these stairs, all this stuff. So we get to this first obstacle.
I'm already like dead. Like, I can't run.
It was tough, but like I did really well. And so I'm climbing up this rope, like a wall.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going up this rope wall, and I do it, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then we get to this barbed wire crawl, so it's on rocks and dirt. Like they don't clean anything up. But I'm small enough, I can just kind of crouch down, and I'm flexible enough, so I'm like on my hands and feet, like shuffling underneath this barbed wire. And Heston's having to crawl because he's so
like
big.
Army crawl?
Yeah. And so I was just down. I got caught up on the barbed wire a couple times, but I get through that, and I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't too bad. And we get to the next obstacle. It's called the Herculean pole. So it's like 100-pound bag where you have to pull the rope, and it lifts the bag.
Okay.
And so I don't weigh much more than 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
So this girl is already there starting it.
Yeah.
And she looks a lot more muscular than me. And so I'm thinking she's going to crush it. Like, she's going to do so great.
Yeah.
So she starts, and she's having a hard time. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm going to struggle. Like, I'm going to have to do the burpees. So I start pulling it, and I'm like, oh, I totally got this.
Yeah.
And I beat this girl.
Yeah.
And I got the bag down,
Like, hey,
and then like lowered the rope back down faster than she did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not going to do so bad. So it was just like a cool confidence booster for me to go like, okay, I thought she was going to crush me on this, but I did it faster than she did, and it didn't seem as hard for me. So we get through this race and everything, and we get to, like towards the end, and my kids couldn't watch the whole time, which was kind of a bummer. But we get to the end, and you have to climb up this like 30-foot rope wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I was nervous because I had watched other people do it throughout the day, and it was pretty tall.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm a little bit nervous to do this part, but this is when my kids were watching. And I'm like, hey, shoot, I have to do this for them. So I'm like, hey, guys, like I'm waving. We had done this. The hardest thing was right before this, where we had to carry, it was a 40-pound sandbag up the bleacher stairs, down into the stadium, back up, down, back up, and then walk out and go down more stairs. So that was like mentally the hardest challenge because you're just going. So we get through that, and then we're jogging, and I get up to the top, and I hear Liv screaming for me.
Oh,
she's like, "Go, Mom, you got this!" Like, that's my mom, and I can hear her, and I'm up at the top, and I'm like, "Hey, Liv," and I just hear her little voice like cheering me on, and she's so proud of me. Like, she was so proud of me, and this lady's like, oh, that sounds like someone's got their own personal cheerleader. And I was like, that's me. That's my girl. Like, she's got me. And like, I said, I'm going to finish this because of her, you know, and it just was such a small little thing. But to watch my kids watch me do something like that was really cool. Yeah. And we get to the last obstacle is like an inversion wall. Yeah. And so Heston helped me get like past it because I couldn't even jump up to reach where the wall started. So he just kind of spotted me, and I got down, and I ran through. I finished the race, and the kids had ran up and met me at the end. And I know that I wouldn't have done something like that if they hadn't been watching me. And I know that I wouldn't have been able to finish those last two obstacles if I didn't have my 5-year-old daughter that I knew she was watching me.
Yeah, cheering you on.
And I think as adults, and especially as parents, like, your example is everything, because you can tell your kids all day long what they need to do. Yeah. But unless you can actually do it yourself, I don't feel like you really have a right to tell them what to do if you're not willing to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations and push through some discomfort and pain. So to speak on being stuck, that was really cool for me to do something like that. Mm-hmm. And I think at the time, Roan, like I was 10 months postpartum with a baby doing this. And, you know, some things like my core isn't all the way quite back yet, I don't think. And I don't think it ever really is the same after you have a kid anyways.
Your body just,
But I just told myself I'm going to do my best, and my best isn't going to look like anyone else's. Mm-hmm. And I was really, really proud of myself, and it felt really cool to tell my kids.
And they thought you were a badass.
Totally.
I mean, you are.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, like, she didn't doubt you at all.
No,
so I'm like,
in her
wouldn't
mind,
that be nice to have that so true, that childlike faith is like a true thing that everybody should have. She didn't doubt you one bit.
Yeah.
she was telling everybody like, oh yeah, that's my mom. She's got it. Mom. It's like, oh, wouldn't that be so nice if we just did that for ourselves?
Yeah.
Where you're like, I know, yeah, I got this.
She, in her mind, there was no way that I was going to fail. You weren't
going to do it. And you didn't. And so it's like, oh, wow. Like, it's like those kids probably have so much more faith. The way they see you is like, so, which it should be. I'm not saying that you're not worthy of it, but they see you so much. And it's like, wow, imagine if you saw yourself the way that your kids did and the faith that they had in you and your abilities. Because it's like, they see it. So it's like so much harder. Like, why can't you or we see, you know, it's just a cool perspective to see like her cheering you on and her having that like, okay, yeah.
A glimpse into
like,
her, how
she's going to make it. Like, she's my mom.
Yeah, it just was the coolest thing, hearing her voice.
And then you did, and they were super excited and thought how awesome.
Because we've always done like competitive sports, and of course my parents have always shown up for those things, but to have your like daughter, that was just a whole other amazing experience. And I just I can still hear her and exactly where I was, like coming over this part of the rope where you like go to the top and you're going back down the other side. And I just heard her and I was so proud to say like, that's my girl. She's here for me, you know? And it was just really, really a cool experience.
That's so cool.
Yeah, to have as a family and individually for myself and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would just say if you're feeling stuck, just find something to push yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, you know, doing something new, I think, and a little bit out of your comfort zone. It's a real confidence booster. And one thing that we did before the Spartan race that I'm so glad we did is we went rock climbing. And that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. Like, being up that high, because I haven't done something like that in a really long time.
Yeah.
So if you're a mom, you're trying to get active, go to a rock climbing gym. It was so much fun. We all loved it. The kids loved it. And I'm glad that I did that before the Spartan race, because I had a little bit more of a, like, flexed that muscle of doing something in front of other people and failing or being that high and on the rock wall and stuff. So,
well, even like this is something simple. But like how you took like that class the other day for sourdough.
Yeah.
But it's like just doing something to just like something new, challenging. It keeps something like, oh, this is exciting. Like even if you just do it once or twice, but you never know. You might become like a pro sourdough. You know, like
I will be a pro at sourdough. I'm starting tomorrow.
You don't know those things, you know, until you do them, like what you might enjoy. Because it's like, I feel like me, I guess I can only really speak to me. I don't know if this is like probably is somewhat normal, but like you grow up, you do this sport. Like we did one sport like for a long time, and then you did cheer. Like it's like you have one thing, and then it's like I got into medical field and I did that for so long. It's like I've never explored really anything. Yeah. I'm like I don't really know what else.
What else is out there potentially?
Like, so I'm like, it's kind of fun to think about like trying those things and doing those, and like you said, just challenging yourself. Could just be one time. Like I could go take me and Ryan did that pottery class that we talked about. I'm like, oh, that was fun.
So
like
fun.
I would do that again. Would I do it like all the time? No. But it was something fun and challenging and new to like learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those things do like help. I think for me, like obviously I really like moving my body.
Yeah.
Being in the Word. I love worship music. I love having my worship moments. Those are really like powerful for me. But lately I've been really back into reading. So I've really been enjoying that, like to the point where Ryan's like, wow, like how many books? I'm like, I know, I just get so sucked into something. Yeah. And sometimes it's nice because your brain just kind of goes somewhere else. But even if it's like an education, like I can start reading like some educational stuff, just like learning, challenging things. I think those are all good ways to like get out of those, or like you said, pushing your body to do something different. Yeah. There's so many like classes and dancing, like instruments. I'm like, I don't know. You could really do so much.
Remember when we did that high fitness class?
Oh, I knew going into it. I like warned Ashley. I was like, I will not be good at this because I am not a serious person. Like in general. Yeah. I just am not. Like, don't ask me into any serious moments. Yeah. So I knew I was going to struggle with that because I've done Zumba before with friends. And I just am like, I can't take myself seriously. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Fun.
But yeah, I
enjoyed watching you and I enjoyed watching Bailey.
Yeah. Definitely laughed at myself. But yeah, or even just like group stuff like that is always like fun. There's so many different group classes now. Go on hikes. Yeah. I know Arizona. Sorry for Arizona folks. I know there's a
right
lot
now
there where
it's
you
fantastic,
can't. Yeah, right now. I know like a lot of the time of the year you guys probably can't go outside, but rock climbing, that's really fun. I haven't done that in a while.
It's an indoor gym, which is nice for being in Arizona. We had so much fun.
I think, the challenging aspect is such a good thing. I think for growth in general, but it could really help you like open, like if you feel like you're like, I don't know, that just gives you things like, even if it's a no-go, you know that, and it's like, okay, well.
Just kind of, I would just suggest anything that puts you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Trying new things.
There's a trainer, Jillian Michaels, her kind of saying is get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And it really is true. I think it just in general in life, you have to, because life's really not comfortable. And growth's not.
Yeah.
Growing as a human is so uncomfortable. It's not fun. You're not going to like it, probably. And it's kind of a punch in the gut sometimes, but it's needed. And it's usually, or it is always worth it. And it gets you out of that. But I think that is so true really in any aspects of life.
Yep.
It's like, okay, I need to get out of this funk. What am I going to do? It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be uncomfortable, but I don't want to sit here and not get out of it. So I think that's simple, but it's true.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
But I would love to hear from anybody, like leaving a comment or whatever, that may be something that they really enjoy to do for themselves. Maybe if they have been in that season, what helped them, whether it was like friends or finding a group or maybe like a Bible study or a fitness class or just something, like what really got them out of that, or maybe some verses or something they meditated and prayed about that really just kind of like help them carry them through things. Just really any advice that anybody experiencing it,
we'd love
or
to hear it.
If they just want to chit chat some more. But I just really felt like I needed to speak on that.
Yeah.
So
I think you did a great job. That was awesome.
Well,
I loved hearing all of that.
Well, thank you.
It's hard, like watching you cry, and I'm like, I can't get up and hug you right now.
Like,
I can't, like,
it's just like, I'm just gonna sit here and look at you and cry.
I'm just try and keep it together over here. So that was challenging. I almost was like, should I get up?
You're like, I'm here for you.
Like I'm right here.
At
feel
least
my
it's
energy.
nice because I know that you are, and I'm not worried about it.
That's
but
true.
Typical situations, but it's funny. It's like, I'm just going to sit here.
I'm just sitting here watching my best friend cry. No big deal.
And it'll make me cry.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
mind hug.
Yeah. The mind hug. And thanks for listening out there. We always appreciate every view, every interaction, everything.
Comments.
It's cool.
All the love's been fun. So thank you guys.
Thanks.